What's up, everybody? Facebook world and my group, how are you? Okay, so today I'm going to be sharing a story that I haven't actually ever shared before. Part of one of my gifts is vulnerability, and so I just say it like it is. And this helps others connect to others. Like, nobody's perfect. Everybody has messy lives. Everybody has things, and everybody has things that they don't share with others. So a couple weeks ago, I got asked to speak at a retreat. Yes, I'm in my garage, so I cannot be interrupted with my children. So a couple weeks ago, I got asked to speak at a retreat about my out-of-body experience. And while I was there were other women who were speaking. And one of the girls had us do an exercise that we shared something that we had never shared before with the person in front of us. And oh my gosh, I'm going to do this from now on when I speak because it was powerful. And it dawned on me in that moment, I had never shared this with anybody before other than my husband. And maybe I have told a little bit of my sisters, but I don't think I had shared it much. And so what happened was we sat across from each other and we shared something deep that we didn't want anybody to know or that we hadn't shared. And for a minute I was like, what haven't I shared? I kind of share a lot of stuff with people. And then I realized, okay, years ago I had gone through something. So years ago, and this is why this is on my mind today, because I have had several sessions lately that have had to do with this topic. And right now, Pluto retrograde is going through the planets. It'll be the next 5 months. I believe until October, and it's all about huge transformations. And so, let me know if you guys can hear this. Yesterday I did a live, and some of it just cut right out, and then it ended up putting the end in, and so it doesn't even make sense, which I didn't delete it. I just left it because that's just life. But so if you can hear me, I can hear you. So, anyways, So right now this is going on the planets, and the retrograde is the Pluto transformational planet is definitely going to be transforming the world, which we're watching happen. A lot of people who have been not telling the truth are going to things are going to be coming out in the world, which that's a whole nother thing. And yes, I'm into conspiracy theory. That's just, I am. So, and a lot will be exposed and shared. And so it will be really cool to watch. But so, I was at this retreat and I was speaking, and I got partnered with a lady named Shar, and I love her. So right away, I just felt so safe with her, and she shared some stuff with me, and then I shared some stuff with her. And I don't know why, but it hit me I'd never shared that. And I think the reason why I'd never shared it is because sometimes I think when somebody has a problem, it has to be this extreme, intense thing. And so mine wasn't as extreme, so I didn't want to diminish the people whose was. And so then it made me think, well, if I share this, somebody will it just wasn't as intense as what somebody else has dealt with. And I have had family members who have dealt with eating, what is it called? Disorders, a lot more than me. And so I think that's why I just was well, if I share, they won't. It just isn't this extreme thing. So I didn't want to undermine what they were going through, but I still was going through my own thing. So that day I had shared for the first time that there was a couple of years that I would never do it at home. At home I would just eat, and it was just my regular food, whatever. But I would do it when I went out to eat sometimes, and it would only be when I ate too much. And so there was a trigger, and I had to figure out what was going on. So and it's funny that this is coming up because I actually felt prompted after that one time when I was speaking at this retreat, and then we did this exercise to share this, and then I just forgot. So I think I'm supposed to share this now. And now that these sessions this week have come up, and it's deep stuff that people are going through, that it's now coming to surface for them, and it's emotionally taxing and hard, but it's good to face it, because when you can face it and confront it, it can heal, and we can shift the energy. So anyways, I was sitting across from her, and I was okay, what's something I've never shared? And then it hit me. I've never shared this because it might not be like this extreme thing, but it was hard for me. So I remember going like out to eat, and it was mostly at Cafe Rio. So you know how Cafe Rio's meals are so freaking big? Like they're huge. So I would get this huge salad, and it would look so good. And so then I would like eat the whole thing. And then I would go home, and I have done this thing called, it's basically where you figure out your aura layers in your body, and it's way neat. So one of mine is green amber, and it's all about sensory harmony. So for me, my body needs to be in sensory harmony. And when it's not, I feel off. And so I had to learn how to manage it during this time. And so basically I ate the whole dang salad, and I went home and I felt sick to my stomach. Well, when that happened, I would throw it back up. And it was like, I remember it was probably like every couple of months or every other month or whenever, like it wasn't, sometimes it would go 6 months and I wouldn't, and then all of a sudden it would go like once a month I would. And it wasn't like so dramatic, but it was enough to where like I would go out to eat and it would just look so good that I would eat the whole thing, and then I would feel sick all night, and I just could not stand the feeling like in my body. And so then I would throw it up. And I remember like going to my husband and I was like, I think I have a problem. And I told him the whole situation. I told him how often and everything. And he just was like, okay. And was just really good with me and was like, Katie, I think you're thinking it's like really, really, really extreme, because it kind of was like, it was this thing that I didn't really share a lot. And it had only been going on for like, I don't know, maybe that year I had. And so it was just like embarrassing, but it was mostly when my body was just so out of harmony. I could not stand it. And I didn't like plan in advance, like, oh, I'm going to eat everything and do this. It was like, I would be in the moment with people. And then all of a sudden, like later I'd be like, oh, I ate too much. It hurts so bad. And then that would happen. And so during this time at this retreat, I had shared this with this woman, and it was just like, oh my gosh, I like shared it for the first time. And I'm like, okay. And she didn't like judge it, or she didn't think like, because in my mind, like if I'm going to share something like that with somebody, it's going to have to be like, I do it every day, or I do it once a week, or, you know, but for me, it was a big deal, and I didn't like that about myself. And so anyways, I had learned after that, after I talked to my husband and like kind of thought about it and stuff, I had realized, okay, when I go to Cafe Rio, and this was, my son's now like 13 at this time, but I had learned like to share the meal with him. So he would get like quesadillas, and now he gets his own adult meal, but he would get like some quesadillas, and then he would take half of my salad. So I learned how to handle it. And all of us have this. So I want you to write down below, what is it, if you're feeling vulnerable today and ready to shift, what is it that you have done that nobody knows about? I want you to post below and be brave, because this is how you change. Like I remember a changing point when I went to my husband, and I was like crying on my knees. I'm like, I don't know, like, do I have an eating disorder? And he was like, okay, so, and he wasn't, I think he wasn't that worried, because it wasn't very often. But to me, it was just like, so I realized after that, now that I understood it, I could, my son would get like some quesadillas, and then he'd take half my salad. So then I didn't see this huge salad in front of me and think I had to eat the whole thing. Like, and there are times where like, this is just my personality. I don't know why I do this, but I'll like forget to eat because I get busy. And then all of a sudden I'll be like so hungry, and then I can eat a whole salad, and it's this huge thing, and I'm fine. So it's not like always. Sometimes I can eat a big, huge salad and my body's just fine. But it was like other times where like I couldn't, and I did it anyways. And I didn't really realize it because I was like in the moment, and then afterwards my body was like in pain. And so for me, it wasn't like the intention of like binging like a lot of people would do. And then, so I didn't like fit into that category. And so to me, it was like, well, if I share this, people won't see how it would like happen. But so it would be like, I literally would like just not even think about it. And then later I'd be hurting, and then it would happen. And so, anyways, I learned some techniques around it. And what I realized is if I give my son half the salad, then he can eat half the salad, and he can eat some quesadillas. And then he was fine, and he was full. And it totally worked. Like it helped me. And then I didn't come home and feel like I just wasted this, or I didn't eat it. And like for some reason with other people's food or mine, it never happened, because it just wasn't like that great. It was just like, I don't know. Do you guys ever think your food's not that great? Well, that's how I feel. And, it would mostly just happen in like restaurants that like even, Panda Express or like Cafe Rio, where they just way overfeed. They way give too much. And so So anyways, I learned a way around it, and I would do that, and it worked out, and it didn't happen because it like fixed itself because I learned a way to get around it. So, I've had a couple people who were like, I'm never going to change. It's never going to work. And I had shared my story to them on the phone call. And I was like, no, I like don't even deal with this anymore. I actually forget that it even happened. But it's the simple way, like there's little things you could do to help yourself. And so, and then when my son did turn 13, which now he's almost 14, well, not 13. It's not when he turned 13, but he's older now. So now he gets his own adult meal. So now, I then was put back in a situation of like, do I get my own meal? And what I realized is, oh, if I get a tostada, it's not as big and as the like bigger salads. And so then it was like less. And even then, now I just take it home. Like I just bring it home, and if I want to eat it later, I do. Or if I just am done with it, I throw it away. And so the other day I was even reminded, like we were at Red Robin, and my husband and I had like driven around a bunch that night. Because my husband eventually wants to like live on like property and land. And so we were just like driving around to see different land. And then we went to Red Robin. Well, it was like 10 o'clock at night. And when we first went on the date, it was like 7. But I just wasn't that hungry. And so I was like, let's go like do this first while there's light, and then we'll go eat. And it's funny because, yeah, sometimes I'm just like not in the mood, or I'm not hungry. And then all of a sudden realize it's been like 8 hours, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to eat. So I definitely have to be aware of my body. And I've learned this about myself. So, but like at the time I was like mortified and like so embarrassed and like, what's wrong with me, right? And I know a lot of people deal with this stuff, and I think it's a lot more common than we realize. We just don't want to say it out loud. And I'm not saying like everybody's done what I've done, because I'm sure you all haven't, and I'm sure there are people who have done like it every day or once a week or way more often than that had happened to me, and they're still doing it. And so I just want you guys to know there's hope. And a lot of times it can be like connected to like when you're a child and feeling no control, and so this is how you feel control or stuff like that. And so energy, like you can clear that. So anyways, but another thing, and then when my son did get older and got his own meal, started getting his own meal, I was like, okay, so then I started ordering like a smaller tostada, and so I just would bring it home. Well, the other day we were at Red Robin, it was like 10 o'clock at night, and they brought like 2 things of French fries because it was like late and they were closing. And so instead of like just bringing one and then you share it, they brought 2 out, one for him and one for me. So I was just talking to him, and as I was eating, and then before you knew it, I'd eaten the whole thing of French fries. So then when it came to my salad, I started eating, and I just didn't have any more room. So I just put the whole salad in to-go thing and ate it the next day. So like I have learned a way, like things around it, and it's just one of those things that like I never shared. And it's like, oh, well, this could totally help somebody. Like I've had issues and I go through things, and at the time I remember being like on my hands and knees and just like crying, like embarrassed. And like, if people knew this about me, they would think I'm a freak or this or that. And it's like, well, then when I actually understood, like, okay, it wasn't like, and even if it was, so even if let's say yours isn't like mine and it's like really, really severe, it's okay. Like you can get help for that and learn from it. And like, it helps you have sympathy for others. And so in fact, like sometimes I would go shopping and I would totally trigger my sister, some of my siblings, because I would be like trying on something, and if it didn't fit exactly perfect, I wouldn't get it, and I would like sit and see if it fit me perfect. And so for me, I just like, I'm a little OCD about how things fit, and if it doesn't have sensory harmony, I don't buy it. But I didn't understand where that was coming from, and so like before it was like, oh, like I felt judged about how I was with my body, and like I am weird. Like even to this day, I'm like 10 pounds heavier than I want to be, and it pisses me off. And so guess what I do every day? I get my butt up and I go to the gym. And if I don't make the gym, I work out at home, because for me, it's like a really big deal. And so, but it is hard because sometimes as an outsider, like from a sibling of mine, they're like, "God, if she even knew what she had," which I do. Like I know, and I am grateful. But I still have my things. Like just because mine wasn't this severe thing, I still had it. And to me, it did feel severe. And so yeah, if you have ever dealt with something like this, maybe not exactly like this, but is there anything, I want you to comment below if there's anything you've ever dealt with that you haven't shared out loud, because the second you can get vulnerable, the energy opens up for shifting. And so yeah, I think it would be, and I think I worried that like if I ever shared this, people would be like, oh, she has an eating disorder, and I don't. I maybe had a small one before, and I maybe did deal with that, but I am aware that I could go down that path very easily, and I have to be very aware of it. And so everybody in this world, we all deal with something, and this is just like one of my things. Like I have other things that are like weird and quirky about me, and like we all do, and we don't want like everybody to see them. In fact, sometimes I feel like we were at a Relief Society activity, and they were going around, and I was in charge of a Relief Society activity because I was the, what is it called? The activities for my Relief Society. So it's a bunch of women in my area that get together, and we all like have fun and stuff. So this was a get to know you night, and everybody was going around, and like I was in charge of the activity. So it was every time you shared, if this was about you, then you would like eat an M&M or whatever. Well, this one was, everybody went around and shared one thing about them that they like collected, or that was like a collection to them. And I went around the room, and it came to me, and like people would say magnets or shoes or this or that, and I was like, I don't. And so then I was like, I don't like collect anything. Like I just don't really like junk. Like I don't collect a lot of stuff. And so, and then one of the ladies in the ward who knew me, she was like, I think that you totally collect out-of-body experience books. And I was like, I do. I love that. But that was a little bit like, that's another thing. Like if people knew that about before I had an out-of-body experience, would they think that I made up my out-of-body experience? And I've actually had people say, you made it up. And I'm like, no, I didn't, but okay. And so now it doesn't affect me like it did, but I had to go through that. And so, but like that is something. And it was like, if people knew that before I had it, would they be like, oh my gosh, she just willed it. She just made it up, blah, 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 blah. Like, and that's was something that would like hold me back. And then I had it, and I was like, if I share this, people knew that I liked this before, so they would be like, that's not a thing. So it was just like, and it was just the fear of facing, like being vulnerable enough to share it. That's the honest truth. And then another thing was, and she's like, oh, and you also collect earrings. She's like, you love big earrings, like earrings. And I was like, I totally do. And you know what I love? And I'm thinking about doing this. I don't know if I'm going to do it yet. But yesterday I had this idea. Like, I don't like a lot of earrings. There you go. I'm really, really freaking picky. But I love suede earrings. And I will pay, like I pay this one company $25 for these earrings because they're sterling silver. There you go again. My body has to have sensory harmony. Or else it itches and it reacts to my body. So I just have like hypersensitive body. And I know it comes with like the empath side, but like how many times we like judge ourselves for these things that we have. Like, it's just me now. Now I just get it. But so all of a sudden yesterday, I'm like, why don't I sell suede earrings with sterling silver hooks? Or if people don't need sterling silver, they can just have the regular ones and make them way cheaper than $25. And it was like, and I was like, huh, well, and so I don't know if I will or not. I'm still thinking about that. But but that has always been a passion of mine. Like, I love earrings, and I've always loved earrings. I've collected earrings. And so it's just one of those things, like quirky little things. But at the time when the woman had said, she said earrings and out-of-body experiences, I'm like, you're right. Like, I just didn't see it myself. And that is another thing. Like, if people knew that I sat and read those before I had this, would they think I made it up? And it's like, I'm now to the point where I don't even freaking care, because I can see that God prepared me, so it wasn't such a shock, because I already hit such rock bottom afterwards. It was such a shock to come back in the world where it's not peaceful. It's not the same. Like, we can create the peace by constantly connecting to God and like always connecting into Him and stuff, and like having our spirituality, but it's a lot more work than when I had my out-of-body experience. And so before, it was just like I didn't know the difference, and now I know the difference. And so it's a lot of times there's like been studies done on people who've had out-of-body experiences, and they actually struggle when they come back in the world. They struggle a lot because of it. And so, and actually it's like 70% of the people get divorced. Like, there's all these statistics with it, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. I could see why, because they didn't experience that before that they remember, because we had the veil put over us. But then afterwards, they do. I'm totally going on a tangent. But so like for me, I just get to connect to God a lot, and I get to like be closer to him than I was before, because it brings me to the same place where I felt the complete peace as when I had my out-of-body experience. So anyways, today I want you to really think, what is it in your life that you do that you're embarrassed of? It doesn't have to be that you throw up, or it doesn't have to be that like something like that, or it could be a lot more severe than mine. Like, I understand that mine wasn't that severe, and I also know it could be very severe if I am not careful. And so it's just one of those things that like, what is it that you went through, or like what's something that's like held you back from not sharing? Let's get vulnerable today and share that, because it's super powerful when we actually like say what we dare to, like when we're completely authentic and vulnerable is when the true healing happens. So anyways, I've been loving the sessions this week because it's reminded me of why vulnerability matters so much. And right now, with the Pluto retrograde going through, I'm going to post in the first comment what's actually going on the next 5 months. But you will have a transformation. It will transform you if you allow it. And so I'll post that in the comment below here so you can read that. But that's what's going on into astrology. And I don't read astrology, but I believe in it. And so in my natal chart, it told me that in 2015, I would, what is it called? Oh, the transcender was going to go through me. And oh boy, did it go through me. That's when I had my out-of-body experience. And so, and when the transcender goes through somebody, it rocks their world, like rocks their world. And so, right now is the Pluto retrograde, which is different than the transcender. But, so I don't know a ton about astrology, but I know enough to like talk about it. So yeah, I'm going to comment that below, but, I would love to know. So let me know and be vulnerable today, and what it is that you have maybe not ever shared or dared to share, because it's like so hard to actually dare to say it. So, and then open up to that. Everybody's going to be feeling this way. Like, look what I just shared. I've never shared this publicly before. And I don't know why I haven't. I actually just didn't really think much about it. And then now, like, I look back and I'm like, wow, that really happened. And I remember being like on my hands and knees crying to my husband, like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. Like, am I a freak? Like, what's wrong with me? And now I just learned some tricks around it. Like, I can't, if I eat that much, it upsets my body. So now I just, like, when we went to Red Robin the other day, I literally brought the whole salad home. And the next day, I ate the whole thing. I had to take the croutons out because they were all soggy. But other than that, like, I was like, okay. So anyhow, okay, I hope you guys all have a great day, and I hope this helped you. I just have felt like today it was just like on my mind so much. I'm like, okay, I'll share. Sometimes things just keep coming to me, and I'm like, okay, I'm listening. So anyhow, all right, okay, love you all. Have a good day. Bye.